Aloha everybody, Kaiwaza with you. Welcome back to my channel and to my video about my recent cruise vacation that I took, 11-day cruise. So this is, I didn't do any videos on this trip, unlike a lot of my former ones. I didn't want to mess with it. It takes up room on my phone, and I didn't want to be moving things to another, drive or whatever. And so I'm just going to take pictures, and then I'm just going to do sort of a photo dump video and just talk about the trip and look at the pictures. So that's what's happening. So, if you don't want to hear me schmuck, just turn off the volume and you can just look at the pictures. So this was an 11-day cruise, sold as an 11-day cruise. It was actually a back-to-back. It was a 7-day and then backed by a 4-day. I first went to visit my cousin and her husband in Albuquerque, New Mexico, for a few days. They're very kind of private people. They're not like social media people or whatever, so I'm not, posting or whatever about that. But that was just a little family visit. I'm very close to my cousin. She's kind of more like my sister, really. So I was there for like 3-4 days. And then I flew to Florida, to Orlando, and I went a day early before the cruise. I always do this because I can. I'm semi-retired. I have the time, whatever, but I always go a day early, stay overnight in a hotel because, with the flight delays, that can be quite common. Things like that happening. If you book a flight and your cruise departs the same day that you're flying in, there is a possibility that you will not make the ship, that you'll have a delay or whatever. And I would hate for that to be traveling that far and for that to happen. So I always go in a day early. I also stay a day later again afterwards, just because I can, and I like a day to decompress and check on my emails and blah 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 blah. So anyway, I flew into Orlando, stayed overnight in an airport area hotel, and then in the morning had arranged for a shuttle. Well, the hotel had a shuttle to pick myself and other people in the hotel that were there, because they have a lot of cruise people staying there, that were going to the Port Canaveral, which is where the ships sail out of. So that's about an hour away from Orlando. So we were picked up by the shuttle and drove out to Port Canaveral, myself, and there were some other people who were going on my ship and some people that were going on other ships, because they're all, they take you to all of those. So, yeah. I This was interesting for me. I went on MSC. It's my first time going with MSC. I've been on Carnival, Royal Caribbean, Holland America, uh, Norwegian several times. Uh, it's my first time with MSC. I know they are kind of actively pursuing a lot of the American market right now. So they're offering a lot of good deals, which this was. And I knew that it was going to be a really big ship. It's the Seashore, which is a relatively new ship, 2021. It's very large. It's over 5,000 passengers, so it's 21 stories tall. Basically, it's a city, right? Basically on the ocean. So I've been on some larger, this was the largest. I've been on some larger cruises. I've been on some smaller ship cruises. I do prefer smaller ships. There's less to do, less options for things or whatever, but I do kind of like a smaller ship. But I knew this was going to be a really big ship, and there's like, you know, I don't know, 5 pools or something. It's ridiculous. There are more bars than I ever even saw on that ship. It's a floating city, and I knew there'd be a lot of people, so I was very prepared for that. um, when we got there, my check-in time was whatever it was. I don't remember, and the line was I have never seen such a massive line outside of the check-in for the cruise. I mean, it was thousands of people. Like, I thought we were never going to even get on the ship, but once they started, it went actually really, really fast. I have to say, of all the check-ins I've ever done, other than ones where I didn't have to wait at all, and there have been a couple of those. Other than that, that was probably the fastest check-in I've ever experienced on a large ship. They had like 100 people checking people in, and you just went through the line, and once it was moving, it just was moving really fast. So very painless. Something nice about MSC that I enjoy, different from other cruise ships I've been on, is that when you get onto the ship, you can immediately go to your room and you pick up your room card, which is on the door, and you can drop off whatever luggage you're carrying, not your checked in, but whatever you're carrying. You can drop off, leave it in the room, and then head out and wander around the ship and have lunch, because they don't actually let you go into the room permanently until, like, I don't even remember what it was, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, something like that. Whereas other cruise ships, they don't let you in the room at all. You have to just, if you have a carry-on thing or whatever, like, you have to just carry that around with you, which is not, it's okay, but that was nice. Anyway, I'll have, pictures of my room. Lovely room. So my lovely balcony room here, as you can see, with a balcony, a couple of chairs, table. So nice to be able to sit up there and relax. This is the port there, Port Canaveral. Ship had several pools. I was rather fond of this one, the jungle pool area that had lots of vegetation and waterfalls, and it was sort of like a lush little place to sit when you could find a place to sit. And these are just some things around the ship. There was an infinity pool, the main pool on the very top level. That's also where they had like the white party. There was like a kids pool here with all sorts of octopi and slides and things. I didn't do any of that. There were adults doing that, though, by the way. This was the infinity pool, which was an adults only area. Very nice. And here we are sailing out of Port Canaveral. Just some shots from the buffet. I ate most of my breakfast, lunch, and midnight snacks from the buffet, and usually ate in the dining room for dinner. And something really good about this cruise line, MSC, was the incredible amount of pizza that they had on the bar. They had 5-6 kinds of pizzas at lunch, at dinner, at the midnight snack, thick and thin, and it was all very delicious, and I ate a lot of it. Our first stop was Ocean Cay, which is a private island belonging to MSC. It is in a marine reserve, so they haven't built like water parks and all that sort of stuff there. It's just a beautiful island with a big lagoon and beaches all around. Every side, every place, beaches. Most of the people seem to have gone to and we were actually here for a day and a half, so we were here overnight. Most of the people went to the lagoon side, or there by the ship here where you see. I also, myself, went to the far end of the lagoon for a while where there weren't very many people and went onto what I think was the western side of the island where there were hardly anyone at all, and they had lounge chairs all around and a few bars set up here and there. Um, but it was very lovely just being hardly anybody at all. I mean, it was me and one other couple for like an hour or more before anybody else was there. And they have a light show at night, a lighthouse, I should say. So dining, let's talk about dining for a minute. That was interesting on this ship, a little different again than other ships that I have experienced. Most of the ships I've been on, I think, were kind of like you went into the dining room when you felt like it, when you wanted to. You could either get an assigned time or whenever you wanted to, and I always just left it open. And usually they will ask you if you want to sit by yourself or if you want to sit with other people, because a lot of times there are couples or other solo travelers that like to have dinner with other people. And so you sit at a table, and I've met very, very, very nice people that way. This was a little different. MSC, I was given an assigned dining time. I didn't have a choice. I mean, I could choose. I asked for early dining. I got 7:15 is what I got, which was fine. So I had to go to the dining room if I was going to eat in the dining room, not the buffet. You could do buffet whenever you felt like it. But if you were going to the dining room, 7:15, and you had an assigned table, and I was at a table with, I think, 8 people, all solo travelers. So it's all people who were traveling by themselves, which was nice. I mean, that was totally nice. And we had nice conversation, met some nice people, really nice people. Interesting, some very interesting conversations. But anyway, uh, yeah, that was the situation with this cruise, MSC. We had assigned time, and if you went in, you sat with those same people. Now, because I did a back-to-back cruise, the first one was 7 days, the second one was 4 day. On the second cruise, they did change my table. One of the ladies that was at my table was on the new one also, but it was also just a table of solo travelers, but I don't think it was full, or if they did fill it, those other people never came during that 4 day to the dining room. They were people that just went to the buffet every day or whatever. They didn't come to the dining room. Now, if you went for breakfast or lunch to the dining room, you could go, you weren't at an assigned table. They would seat you with whoever or by yourself. And my dining room, by the way, was the Central Park restaurant. There are a few different main dining rooms on the ship that you might have been assigned to a different one, but mine was Central Park. Okay, this next day is the Costa Maya, Mexico, the Mayan coast. I had been to the Mayan. We need to talk about this just for a second before I show you the pictures. I'd been there before on a different cruise, um, and it's a created place. It's not a real place. There's no town or city there. They literally created this port place to be a place for cruise ships to come to that were either going on, up the coast or coming from some sort of like a stopover place that could be created as a cruise port. And there are excursions that you can do from there. So for example, last time I was there, I didn't really stay in the Costa Maya port area thing. I went on a very long excursion to see some Mayan ruins, large Mayan ruins that are about at least an hour inland. So my day at Costa Maya was going to these Mayan ruins, which was fantastic. So I thought when I was going there this time, well, it's a really cool little port area, and I want to just stay there. I'm not going to go on any excursion. I'm just going to hang out because it's beautiful. Um, the problem, as you'll see, The problem being that on this particular day there were two other fairly large cruise ships. So there were three cruise ships docked in at Costa Maya, and it was very crowded. I mean, it was too many people to be in this place because it's just literally like a park enclosed space that they've created with like a fake Mayan pyramid and some Mayan dressed people. Very cool. I love it. And you go inside and there's of course the shopping, the markets, all of that. But there's an amazing pool that sort of weaves in and out of the place that you can swim in. There's a pool on the beachfront and lounge places. You have to buy food or whatever to go in there, but it's a very cool like area. And I had looked forward to just kind of going to the pool there and hanging out, but it was so crowded when we were off the ship in there. I wanted to look around. All I did was look around the shops, take the pictures, and go back to the ship. I'm like, this is just too crowded. I don't want to be out here. Oh, this was a jazz act. I really enjoyed several nights on the ship. We also had, a couple gala nights, dress-up nights. This is my get-up on one of them with my fancy shoes. They had, different shows every night in the main theater. This is the view from my balcony looking down. And there'll be food porn throughout. This is, coconut shrimp. Love that. Now coming up on the port of Costa Maya, Mexico, as I said, there were other ships in, so it's very, very crowded, but it's, it's an enjoyable spot. Lots of shops, as I said. There's a big pool you can splash around in that weaves throughout the place. There's a pool by the ocean and with lounge chairs and whatnot. It is a taking off point, really, for other excursions and things which I did not do. I just wanted to hang out at the port, but it is, like I said, sort of a created Mayan little area, whatever, there. Costa Maya, it's called. Okay, now something kind of interesting that I did stay around to observe that they perform every so often. I don't know how often. It's this giant Mayan, kind of like a maypole on steroids. And the gentlemen go up onto the top of it. It's like 40 feet tall or higher. And just attach themselves with ropes, and they spin all the way down and kind of dance, and there's music. It is an ancient, supposedly ancient, I don't know anything about it, but it's supposedly an ancient ritual for the protection of the community or whatnot, but quite daring, I must say so. I must say, this ensemble of singers and dancers on this ship that had a different show every night was probably the best I've ever seen on any ship. They got standing ovations every night, really great shows, lots of talent there. Our next port was the island of Cozumel in Mexico. This was the only place where I actually had booked an excursion. I wanted to go see the Mayan ruins, and then it was a tour around the island. Well, that ended up getting canceled because not enough people signed up for it, I guess. So I just kind of got off the ship, walked around a little bit, and discovered some places where you could book things yourself or whatever. Nobody just went to the Mayan ruins. So what I ended up doing was, and these are small Mayan ruins. They're not, really big ones like some of the other ones I've seen in Mexico. But I love ancient ruins. I just have a thing for them. So I ended up booking a private taxi for the day, just me. And I said, I want to go to the Mayan ruins. That's what I want to do. So we went there. I saw those, which is all the pictures that you're seeing here. And then I just said, how long does it take to drive around the island? He said about 50 minutes. I said, okay, that's great. Let's just drive all the way around the island. I don't need to stop anywhere or take pictures or whatever. I just want to see it. I practiced my Spanish a little bit with him, which was kind of rusty, but we didn't do too bad. So yeah, like I said, these are smaller ruins, but and these are these are not carvings. These are actual iguanas that love to sunbathe on the various places in the Mayan ruins. But these are smaller ruins, but very sacred ones to a particular goddess whose name I do not remember. My apologies to the goddess. Yeah. So anyway, interesting thing about Cozumel, driving around, nobody lives there outside of the city, outside of the town where the port is. You drive around, and I was talking with the driver, yeah, and there's like literally people don't live out there. There's no houses. They just have a few beaches where they have things set up to bring people from the cruise ships for the day for a little beach excursion. But there are no other towns. People do not live outside of the town. It's just jungle outside of that town where the port is. That's Cozumel, Mexico. So I want to talk for a minute about, as you can get from what I've been talking about and saying, it's a big ship, it's a crowded ship. I don't know that I'm not saying I wouldn't do another large ship again, but I'm going to be inclined to like be more aware when I'm looking at going on a smaller ship, because I think I just personally like that a little better than, I mean, the ship it's amazing, razzle dazzle, so much going on. It's fantastic and fantabulous, but you're not getting away from anything on there. You're like it's like being in Manhattan. You know what I mean? So I think what saved this trip for me were two things that saved it. Because I had a nice time, but I had a nice time because I think of two things that happened. Number one was I booked early enough. I had told this might happen. I booked an inside cabin, which I usually do. They're much cheaper. Uh, I booked an inside cabin, and the gentleman told me that I was booking it early enough that there was probably a decent possibility that I would get bumped up for free to a balcony, because they were getting a lot of calls about this particular cruise, and they might book out and of inside cabins, and then they would bump you up. And in fact, that did happen. I knew a month out from the trip that had happened, because I had gotten my cabin assignment and it was a balcony. So that really saved a lot of this trip to me, because it was 11 days and I had a place to escape. my own balcony, overlooking the water or the port, wherever we were, and laying out there and reading and listening to my music. And it was just really nice to have a place that I knew was quiet, that was, just, I didn't have to worry about trying to find a place or whatever, that was just there, and very relaxing, very nice. That really saved it for me. I think I would have had a much more difficult time had I had an inside cabin on this cruise, because there's just not a lot of space to lay around, sit around out in the public areas, because there's so many people holding seats and all that kind of thing. And the other thing that saved it was, before the cruise, they ran a special on the thermal spa, getting all these different services and things you can get. And you could also get a pass to the thermal spa, which I have done on other ships a few times. And I thought they ran a good deal. It was like $200 for all 11 days for a pass for the thermal spa. That's not services, massages and whatever. It's this area that is spa rooms, spa treatment things you can do yourself. And it was like $200 for the 11-day pass for that. And I am so happy that I did that. It's not the most, their Seashores was not the most beautiful thermal spa I've ever been in. However, it was one of the nicest, because it was pretty, don't get me wrong, but I've been in some that were like Grecian, they were really beautiful. This was a little more utilitarian, but still very nice, and it was amazing. There were like 10 different things that you could do. There was a traditional Finnish sauna. There's a soft sauna. There was a like Himalayan salt room with a wall of like Himalayan salts and light, and you could just lay in there and your lips would be salty after a while. I don't know what that was supposed to do exactly, but I loved it. There was like a dark wet sauna with like mist coming down. There was a light therapy sauna. There was like some kind of a path you walked around that had hot mist and cold mist and warm shower and cold shower, and you just like would walk around it. That was very cool. Several different like showers that had different kind of scents in it. A couple of hot tubs, a big one inside, a large one right outside the thermal spa that was only for spa use. And my favorite weird one, which was a snow room. They actually had a room with a bench, like a park bench, a tree, snow, real snow, and a shovel. And you could sit there or stand there and put snow on yourself instead of like a cold shower. It's very surreal to be on a ship in the middle of the, Caribbean, and you're in a snow room. But that thermal spa really saved the trip for me as well, because I was in there not every day, but I was in there almost every day. And there were some days when I was in there for like 3 hours, and I would just circle and do all the things, the hot tubs, the sauna, the salt room. I would just do everything. That was a really good call. I'm really glad I did that. And for me, those two things really saved this trip, having a balcony and having a thermal spa pass. I don't think I would have enjoyed this trip nearly as much because of the size of the ship and the crowds of people. This was a little, very nice little chocolate and sweets shop that I liked to go to for espressos, for cappuccinos and lattes. In addition to the main theater, of course, there were other venues, many other venues for entertainment, musicians, different kinds of shows, trivia games, which I played quite a bit, always some kind of activity. They had what was it called? Baton Rouge, I think, a club that was kind of like a French cabaret show. So they had different kinds of acts every night, several different singers, dancers doing different things. That was really nice, entertaining to go to. The White Party, which I stayed at for like 5 minutes. Now we were supposed to go back to Ocean Cay Island on the second part of this cruise. However, we covered around it. There were higher winds. Seas were slightly bit rough, and they tried like 3 times to dock, and they just couldn't. So I'd already been, so to me, whatever. But I know for the people that were on the 4-day cruise there, it was kind of a bummer because we didn't get to go to Ocean Cay. But that's cruise. That's how things can happen like that. So you just go with the flow. And I want to say I also did win a little contest while I was on the trip. They had a beautiful shirt contest. You may or may not know, I'm kind of into like some swanky shirts. Well, sort of like this one, but some nice ones that I get in Vegas, mostly when I'm there. And I didn't know it was happening. I happened to have one of them on that's sort of bedazzled, and it has like bejeweled hibiscus on it or whatever. And I had my crazy floral shoes on. And I went into the theater before the show, and they were like, we're going to have a contest for the best shirt tonight. I wasn't even going to do it or whatever. I was just like, no. And it's by audience applause. So we just want the people who are going to be entering to stand up, and we will, go by applause. And I didn't stand up, but the people around me were like, you have to stand up. You have to. I'm like, okay, whatever. So they're going around the room, and people are getting applause and whatever. And it comes to me, and it's insane. I mean, it was like the theater of 1,200 people. It just erupted. I mean, like a soccer match of applause. It was really crazy. I had like a Miss Venezuela moment, where I was just like, like, thank you. Um, and I remembered I had my crazy shoes on when all this applause was going on. And so I just grabbed my shoe and because it has flowers all over it. It's really bizarre. And it was like applause again. And the guy was like, well, I think we have our winner, but, we have a few more people. So they did the applause and I won. But I got a bottle of champagne, which I took to dinner the next night at the table. And it was funny, the whole rest of the cruise, every day I would be somewhere, especially in the evening when I would be more dressed up in the evening. Uh, People would stop and ask, like, oh, those shirts, like, where did you get them? Or I voted for you, that was amazing. And other guys going like, where do you get like a shirt like that? Whatever. It was funny. I had my little Miss Venezuela moment. Yeah, and won champagne, so that was fun. So our last port of call was Nassau, Bahamas. Believe it or not, in all the Caribbean cruises I've been on, I've never actually been to Nassau in the Bahamas. I've been other places in the Bahamas. So first time for me, didn't have anything booked, just wanted to get out and walk around and go to the straw market, which I knew about, and that's what we're seeing pictured here, the famous straw market, where I did actually buy a couple of, or 3, sort of different neon colored puka shell necklaces, because I didn't have any neon puka shells. Now, what I stumbled across and had no idea existed was this museum, the Pirates of Nassau Museum. And I, since I was just wandering around for the day, I thought I'll go and do that. $14, well spent. uh, I really enjoyed it. Really cute. A lot of history about the pirates. Nassau used to be only a pirate town. That's how it actually started, a pirate outpost. And this museum was just full of all kinds of historical facts and exhibits and what is the word? Not dioramas, but you know, displays with mannequins, and they had the reconstruction of a ship inside and all kinds of things. So that was very entertaining. I'm really glad I did that. If you're ever in Nassau, I recommend the Pirates of Nassau Museum. Now, the day we were in Nassau, we were one of 7 cruise ships docked there, if you could imagine. I think that's the most of any place I've been at one time, to have 7 docked. But Nassau is a big place. I mean, it's probably like that every day there. That's probably one of the most common ports. So here we are, sailing out of our last stop, Nassau, the Bahamas. Sailing out, and the next morning we arrive in Port Canaveral in Florida, and it's time to exit the ship. Although after 11 days, I could actually just stay on and keep going. I think I'm going to start looking at some of these repositioning cruises that are like 39 days or something. I could totally do it. Anyway, here's more from the entertainment on the ship in the main theater. Really, really good entertainment in the main theater there. Anyway, we get off the cruise is over, and I am picked up by my shuttle, just as scheduled. I'm always happy when that happens exactly like it's supposed to, and because how things can be. And we went back to the hotel. I stayed in the same hotel by the airport, going as I did coming in, and my flight was very early the next morning. Now I went in, I had the whole day off. I didn't go in Orlando. I didn't do anything. I just wanted to chill out. I don't get internet on the ship. I don't buy the packages and all that. I sort of like to just disconnect. So that day when I come back, I catch up on Survivor videos I missed. I catch up on emails and all that sort of thing. In this case, fortunately, I need to buy a new luggage because my wheel came off of my luggage after the cruise somehow. And I thought, I guess they would have, but it actually ripped. It's like a hard plastic, and it ripped off the wheel and ripped off the bottom half of the luggage. So there happened to be a Ross store behind my hotel. So I'm like, okay, well, they always have luggage. This was going to be my last trip with this luggage anyway, with this suitcase. I thought it was going to be the last trip. I guess my luggage decided it wanted to retire in Florida, so it quit that day. So I went and bought another suitcase at Ross, and that was it. And I was on my way home the next day on a plane, all day flights, all long, 5.5 hours, and 6.5 hours with a layover in Seattle. I watched 7 movies on the plane. That's how long that flight was. 7 full-length movies. And then I came home, and that's the end of the story. So that's my story of the MSC Seashore cruise that went, I don't think I even gave you the dates, that went from March the 2nd to March the 13th. Yeah. So we'll see. I don't know what's next. I'll probably do another cruise this year at some point, but I don't know. Anyway, subscribe if you want to see more. Leave your comments below. Always great to hear from everybody and what their thoughts are. And we will see you in the next video, which will probably be a cheap lounge or quickie. I don't know. We'll see. All right. Talk to you later.